What's going on, guys? Cody Marchand from HindZeke.com, and we're bringing you a first look lineup at the Week 14 games on Draftkings. Just like we always do, we're going to be breaking it down side by side with my article that I have at HindZeke.com and in the description below, where I give you my favorite picks. I give you their projections for me, what I project, not industry. And then I also give you an entire example lineup at the bottom that you could use to build from. Obviously, it's Monday, so these aren't final picks. Don't just plug in these guys and be like, hey, Cody, this is what you told me was going to win. That's not what I'm saying. Use them according with the rest of the research, this video, all the guys to talk about, and what you feel. Do what you need to do, but this is just to help you there. And before we get into it, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I'm putting out a bunch of content for you. We only got about 4 weeks left of the DFS season. It's been going by super fast on the NFL, but we've been killing it. We've been loving life, and I love making these videos for you, so subscribe to the channel if you're not already. So getting right into it, we have a 13-game slate, and what's interesting about this 13-game slate, we have, I think at least 6 of these matchups are divisional games. And something that's really interesting that I don't think a lot of people pay attention to is the fact that when there's divisional games, there's a different dynamic, right? You're seeing this team at least twice a year. Maybe I said at least because sometimes you play them in playoffs, just like Patriots played the Jets with Mark Sanchez back in the day. You're seeing these teams at least twice a year, every single year. So you might have a different game plan than you always do. They might be able to take away some players better than most. You see the teams like the Patriots, right? They're in a bad division in the AFC East. But then you see a final score of like 23-20 against the Dolphins, and you don't know what happened. It's because they see this offense so many times that there's these certain familiarities where they can take away certain things that other teams just can't. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on this week when constructing your lineups, guys, is the fact that there are a bunch of divisional matchups, and just be aware of how that might affect your lineup building. Getting right into the quarterbacks. Patty Mahomes, what happened last week? He was $100,000, and he was worth it. Again, 33 points, one of my favorite quarterbacks last week. This week he gets a really tough Baltimore team. Just ask Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. But he's at home. He's Patrick Mahomes. I'm not avoiding him at all, but I think that we might be able to find some better plays. Big Ben, great matchup, and we need to monitor the health of James Conner. I think that this could be a really big game where Big Ben has to throw more than normal because James Conner looks like he could actually be hurt. I know Mike Tomlin was trying to talk it down, just saying, hey, it's a leg contusion. And look, I'm not a doctor, but I watched a bunch of those replays, and to me, it definitely looked more like a high ankle sprain than a leg contusion. That's just me speculating. I'm not a doctor, like I said, but I would definitely monitor that situation. And one thing about the Oakland Raiders, guys, is you think about these games where you think a team's going to blow someone out, and you think, wow, I hope they don't just hand the ball off when they're up by 20, 30 points. But that's not really what happens with these Oakland Raiders. I feel like quarterbacks still have to put up numbers. There was 33-30 last week against the Chiefs. So I think Big Ben, you're not going to have to worry about a 25 pass attempt game. I think he's still going to throw the ball a lot. I love Antonio Brown this game at 9K. I think that he has a monster performance. So Big Ben's fine at 6,800. Not probably where I'm going to go. Drew Brees right below, though, at 6,600, excuse me. I do like a lot. Like I said about those divisional matchups, it's kind of hard to project how they're going to play against each other in any given week, any given game. But in week 1 against the same matchup in a much healthier Tampa Bay defense than they are right now, Drew Brees put up the most passing yards he has all season with 440 yards. So I'm not worried about him. He's had 10 games to prepare off that really ugly loss against a super underrated Dallas Cowboys defense. And I think at 6,600, this is a great price for Drew Brees and a good matchup. I think that they're going to come out strong. They're not going to lose this game. I'm not guaranteeing anything. That's just what I think is going to happen. I like Drew Brees there. Philip Rivers has been putting on clinics lately. He's super consistent. You know what you're going to get with him. Pretty much this exact stat line. If you get that 300-yard bonus, it's amazing because, you're pretty much going to be from that 19, 20, 21, all the way to like 25-point range. If he gets that 300-yard bonus, it's more of that 25, 26-point range. So against Cincinnati, who can't stop anybody, I like Philip Rivers. I probably don't want to pay 6,500, but, this matchup is awesome, and Philip Rivers has been playing awesome. 28 touchdowns, 6 picks. 115 passer rating. He's been a beast this week. This year. Keenan Allen last week was just ridiculous. 19 targets, 14 catches. So I like Phillip Rivers. Cam Newton against Cleveland, he gets it done. That's what he does. He's Cam Newton. I don't love the matchup per se. I think that Cleveland does a great job rushing the passer, not allowing Cam to step up the way he wants to. Even a void rush from the perimeter, right? You see when Cam likes to step out of the pockets sometimes either right or left to avoid pressure. They do a really good job of closing the pocket, Myles Garrett and company in Cleveland. So I don't expect a huge passing game out of Cam, but he always has that floor and that high upside of rushing. So at 6,300, that's actually a pretty good bargain for Cam. Jameis Winston, one of my favorite quarterbacks of the week. Like I said, I try to avoid these division games. You can't really avoid them this week. There's so many of them, and this one's probably going to be the highest scoring out of all of them. Jameis Winston's been playing great. In his last 2.5 games, he's thrown 6 touchdowns to only 1 interception. He's ran the ball 17 times in the last 3 games, which is great. He's just been a beast. Last time these two teams played, I know it was Ryan Fitzpatrick, not Jameis Winston, but he put up 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against them. In there, as in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterbacks, best fantasy performance of the year. I understand that it's not like an apples-to-apples thing, but it's pretty close. I think that James is doing a great job, spreading the ball around between Mike Evans, Adam Humphries, Chris Godwin, and Cameron Brate. So I like this game. I'm probably going to be attacking this game a lot. Jameis Winston's a great quarterback, and I think that he has a good spot here at 6,200. The place I'm probably going to go most often right now in my first look, though, is Aaron Rodgers at 6K. They just fired Mike McCarthy. He's coming off a game where he threw 50 pass attempts. He only got 15 fantasy points against a bad Arizona Cardinals team. So I think that against Atlanta coming to town, if he's in the best spot ever. So if you can't perform in this spot, sorry Aaron Rodgers, but I'm done with you for the year. You better step up this game. You better perform. I love him at 6K. I think this is a great spot for him. I think that, as you've seen with the Cardinals early in the season when they fired Mike McCoy and promoted Byron Leftwich, and then with the Browns when they fired Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson and promoted Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens, the offense has improved dramatically pretty much right away. I want to see if that's what happens in Green Bay. I think it might, because there was reports that the team just wasn't responding well to Mike McCarthy. Hopefully they got a little bit of fire under their ass, and we'll see what happens. But I like Aaron Rodgers. He's still a stud. Hasn't been playing like that this year, but at 6K against Atlanta at home, you got to like his odds. Andrew Luck let me down last week, but he's still a beast. Deshaun Watson, viable, but he's pretty low volume. Look at him. Look at his attempts, 31, 24, 24, 24. I'm not loving him this year so far. Baker coming off an awful game. Lamar Jackson's very interesting against Kansas City. He got banged up in this game, had to leave the game for a little bit, but he's right around that 19, 20-point mark so far, which is fine at 5,700. That's hidden value. Anybody else that stands out? Yeah, guys, there's one more guy that I really want to talk about. Obviously, Dak Prescott is in a decent spot against Philadelphia. That's a pretty bad pass defense. But the person I want to talk about is Josh Allen. I get it, guys. It's Josh Allen. It's gross. He's throwing 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He's thrown 1,223 yards. None of those things are good with a 66 passer rating. But look at his last 2 fantasy point games. Averaging 30 points a game over the last 2. And it's all because of this, guys. 99 rushing yards, 135 rushing yards. That's 22 carries for 234 yards in the last 2 games. And he threw another 2 passing touchdowns and 230 yards in the air last week. He's got a great matchup at home against the Jets. Obviously, it's Buffalo, so you want to monitor the weather because that's going to affect how quarterbacks perform. But at 5,500, I'd prefer him at 4,900. But at 5,500, you kind of got to respect Josh Allen. It's kind of how I feel about Mitch Trubisky. I know I might get a lot of hate from that because some people, for some reason, love Mitch Trubisky. I don't think he's that great of a real-life quarterback. But in terms of fantasy, I think he can get it done because of his upside with his legs. So I just want to point that out there, guys. Josh Allen's fine. First look, we're going to throw in Aaron Rodgers, though. Always, from quarterbacks down to defense, we're going to scroll down here. There's 3 people that stand out, guys. There's a lot that we can talk about, but the 3 teams that really stand out are obviously paying up for the Broncos. The last 2 games, over 13 points. And now they get a cake matchup against San Francisco. Nick Mullins has looked awful lately, so I like Broncos at 3,600. I'm probably going to pay down, though. I like some teams in this 2,300 range. I like both the Redskins taking on Eli Manning at home. Always good to do. Have they played before? Yeah, 15 points last time they played, and that was in New York, I agree that the Giants' offensive line has been improved, but still not tremendously. And Eli Manning is always always prone to give you at least 1 or 2 picks, maybe a fumble here or there. I like the Redskins at 2,300. I want to save on defense this week because I don't see as many values right away as I did last week. So to get in some of the guys I want to be paid 2,300 for a defense. So it's between the Redskins at 23 and also at 23 the Cardinals. Detroit just can't protect Matthew Stafford right now. They look like a team in shambles. I think the Cardinals can get it done. I obviously, they haven't been scoring a ton, but in better matchups, you've seen that they can do it. So I like the Cardinals. I'm probably going to go the Redskins in this lineup just because I think that they're more consistent. So we got Aaron Rodgers and the Redskins defense to start. Rolling over to tight ends, what do we like? Travis Kelce was a monster last week, guys. 42.8 points. Tyreek Hill had a quiet game, so Travis Kelce decided to step up with 28 targets in the last 2 games. Another 10-plus catch game. 2 touchdowns. Had a third one called back. He was barely down when the defender tagged him. What can I say? 29 points plus in 3 of the last 4 games. Travis Kelce at 6,700 is probably a bargain. Baltimore is kind of middle of the pack against tight ends. That's probably one of the easier places to attack them. But we don't normally like to spend up at tight end. Zach Ertz is fine. Eric Ebron, though, with 1,000 salary relief from Travis Kelce is interesting. We got to take into the fact that, he got 16 targets last week, guys. Without Jack Doyle, this dude is their number 1 option. You watch that game against Jacksonville, Andrew Luck dropped back, and if he didn't throw the ball to Ebron, he at least looked on him at almost every play that he was running a route. He has as high of a touchdown upside as anybody in the league at 5,700. At 5,700, you can do a lot worse than Eric Ebron. George Kittle's all right. Jared Cook, no. Gronk, no. I don't really like anybody in this middle range. Njoku's not that bad in a good matchup at 3,900. Cameron Braid's pretty good. I like attacking that matchup. I kind of like him there. But guys, that one person I do want to hit on that's really cheap, that if you want to go real cheap this week, is Ian Thomas at 2,700. So Greg Olsen re-injured that foot injury. He's probably out for the year. I think it was a Lisfranc injury. Ian Thomas came into this game, I think, in the second quarter and immediately caught 5 passes right away. That's pretty good for 2,700. Say he gets 5 catches again next week, which, you can't just predict out 5 catches, but he's kind of been pretty solid for Cam. They looked like they had some pretty good chemistry in that game. Say the exact same line. He gets 9.6 points for 2,700. That's smashing value. So like I said earlier, there's not a great values everywhere. So if I can save a lot at tight end and go to 2,700, I don't mind doing that. This is actually a pretty good week to pay up for Travis Kelce or Eric Ebron, but Ian Thomas is fine. I want to see what we can do if we do Travis Kelce. I don't know how my lineup will look. I don't know if I can get Kelce instead of Ebron or what did I do originally? I just want to see real quick, guys. Did I go Ian Thomas? I went Ebron. Okay, so I'll probably have to drop 1,000 somewhere. There's nothing that stands out right away. I think I see one place that I can. I didn't want to do it, but I can do it. Let's go over to running back real quick, guys. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey has been an absolute animal. Just look at these fantasy points. 21, 32, 36, 17, 52, 34. Absolute stud, guys. 9,300. They're finally charging what he's worth. I have to avoid him this week against Cleveland, a pretty decent team. You can run on them for sure. Lamar Miller, I think, just ran for 100 yards, so I'm not avoiding Christian McCaffrey at all. I'm not fading him, but he's not going to be a core piece for me this week like he has been the last 2 weeks. One player I like a little bit more than McCaffrey is Saquon right below him. Washington's defense has been playing a little bit worse as of late, and Saquon in 11 out of 12 games this year has been over 20 fantasy points, which is just ridiculous. 20, 36, 38, 14, 20, 26, 40, 28, 22, 22, 24, 23. Stud. Absolute stud. Saquon is a beast. He is one of the most, I was wrong on him to start this season. I didn't know why anybody would want to draft a rookie running back top 5. This is why, because he's worth it. He's a beast. I thought the team was going to be bad. They are bad. It doesn't matter because he can catch the ball in the backfield. He's a beast running the ball. 100-plus rushing yards 3 straight games. I want to build a team around Saquon. He's probably my RB1 this week. But behind that, Zeke's going to monster another good matchup. Last time against Philadelphia, he had 40 points, so that's going to be pretty chalkish this week, I think, at a relatively realistic price at 8,600. We got Alvin Kamara at 8,100 in a good matchup against Tampa Bay. I like attacking this matchup. Like I said, his best game of the season so far came against Tampa Bay in Week 1 with 46 points, 12 catches in that game, 3 touchdowns total. So I like Kamara at 8,100. Melvin Gordon, we got to monitor. James Conner, we got to monitor. Because those guys too, right? Because we see these two guys are hurt, let's go to 2 of my favorite guys of the week. And it all depends on those 2 guys. First off, we got Jalen Samuels at 3,700. So, he's coming in. He doesn't really get the ball on the ground too much, but he's going to be their lead back if James Conner sits. And he is a beast out of the backfield. They love throwing this dude the ball. Whether he's his only touchdowns, I think, on the season are both receiving touchdowns. And he gets targets when he's in there. I honestly think that at 3,700, this is going to be pretty much like a Spencer Ware type play from last week if James Conner sits. Because I think that he has a great opportunity at 7-8 targets at 3,700, slam dunk. But one of my favorite players that I've been watching this year over the last 2 weeks is my guy Justin Jackson from the Chargers. He is so shifty, so explosive. He looks like such a great runner. This team is such a good run-blocking team. They want to be a running team. Cincinnati is getting gashed by everyone. Philip Lindsay ran all over them. And I think that if Justin Jackson plays this week because Melvin Gordon's hurt, I think that this 7 and 8 attempt games, I think this is going to combine into one 13, 14, 15 carry game. And if he doesn't go over 100 yards and maybe get in the end zone against this team, I'd be shocked if he gets, because I really think he's going to get that much volume. So if Melvin Gordon's out, I have to go with Justin Jackson in my lineup. It opens up a lot of value, and I just think that he's a stud. Other things that I like are Aaron Jones in a smash spot against Atlanta, averaging 24 points over the last 4 games. They got a new head coach. The only thing stopping him from fantasy relevance was Mike McCarthy, and that's no longer here. So, Aaron Jones, I love this week. I think that he's going to get it done at 7,200. Going down the list, I like James White. He had another big game receiving, but there's a lot of Rex Burkhead in this Patriots offense now with Sonny Michel. So I'm probably going to be back to normal on the Patriots running backs where you don't know who's going to get it, so I just stay away. Mixon's interesting at 6,400. He's too good of a talent to be this low, but the team just does not get him the ball enough. Look at these yards per carry, and then he just doesn't get the ball. He just gets phased out. So the team's not good enough. Philip Lindsay is an absolute stud. Another great game, guys. 32 points. He's such a hard runner. I still don't get it. I wrote him up last week. I don't understand how this guy went undrafted. Obviously, I didn't scout him in college or anything, but just watching this dude run the NFL, he is absolute an NFL running back. He absolutely has the talent for it. So, Philip Rivers at 6,300. The matchup in San Francisco isn't above average or below average. They're actually not as bad a team on the ground as you think, but Philip Lindsay doesn't matter. It's as long as it's not a bad matchup. I like Philip Lindsay. They've been running the ball well lately. Eckler's priced up, which he should be, but I prefer Justin Jackson. He's just not as efficient on the ground. He does have 8 targets, which is pretty amazing. I like that a lot, actually. But 6,200 is a little bit too expensive. Going down the list, nothing's sticking out. Spencer Ware, guys, I understand the matchup's tough against Baltimore, but at 5,200, being the lead back on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, on probably the number 1 offense in the league, when you still get the goal line work and you run a bunch of routes, that's just way too cheap. Just way too cheap. So I understand it's a bad matchup, but at home, Kareem Hunt was getting about 17.5 carries, and on the road is about 15.5. So they do like to run the ball more when they're at home, and they're at home against Baltimore. Lamar Miller's been running hard the last 2 weeks. What else do we like? Gus Edwards at 4,500 in a great matchup. Let's pull him up real quick. He's questionable. That's no good. I think it's an ankle injury. Ankle issue, yep. See, this is what can happen, though, with Gus Edwards. He had 82 rushing yards on 21 carries, which is fine, but he has no targets in any game. And if he doesn't get in the end zone or over 100, it's not that great of a game. So you just need to know what you're getting into with Gus Edwards at 4,500. Nyheim Hines can be interesting depending on how Marlon Mack handles the concussion that he just got over or is getting over. And then Jalen Samuels. Like I said, guys, there's not a ton of plays this week that I see right away that I love. I love some people at the top and I love some people at the bottom. I don't really love any of the middle values at running back. So if I'm gonna go Travis Kelce, I don't know if I can get Saquon, and that's probably where I'm gonna have to go down. I could do Saquon with because I always go running back at flex. I'm gonna go running back at flex. So I can go Saquon. I just don't think I wanted to go Saquon, Justin Jackson, and Aaron Jones, and I don't think I can do that with Travis Kelce. So instead of Aaron Jones at 7,200, let me just see who I want. I can go Philip Lindsay and pretty much have the same pricing or enough. But I could even save more, right? I could go down to Spencer Ware and then pay up a little bit at receiver. No, let's just stick with somebody that we know we like. We know we like Philip Lindsay. We'll put him down there. And we'll start with the receivers. Like I said before we started, guys, Antonio Brown 9K, I know I'm not going to be able to get him in this lineup, but I wish I could. I just have one of those feelings that he is going to have a 190-yard game, 2 touchdowns. He's still 22 points a game, 12 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. He's still the best receiver in football, guys. I think that without James Conner there, he might get even more work. But I don't want to dive in too much because I can't use him, so I feel a little bit salty. Michael Thomas in a great matchup. Obviously, he's been held in check the last few weeks, but it's hard to hold this guy in check. I think Drew Brees comes back, so obviously that's good correlation for Michael Thomas. At 8,600, I think this is a good play. This is probably not my favorite play, but a good play. I probably prefer Devontae Adams over Michael Thomas. 85 catches, 93 yards a game, 11 touchdowns. He's an absolute monster. Gets no respect, but another 13-target game, 8 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Good matchup against Atlanta. I love Aaron Rodgers, so I kind of want to play some Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams combinations. But there's one player that I like even more than all of them at receiver this week. Tyreek Hill's interesting at 8,000. Julio Jones is way too cheap at 7,900, even though I do respect those corners out in Green Bay. I think that they're underrated. I think Jair Alexander is a great corner. I think he will be a great corner. But Julio's just too much for him. Mike Evans, good matchup. Hopkins, just too good at 7,800. But Keenan Allen at 7,400 is where I want to talk about. Look at this game, guys. 19 targets, 14 catches. Both career highs. 148 yards. Got in the end zone 4 straight weeks. Over 20 points 3 straight weeks. At least 17 points 6 straight weeks. Keenan Allen against Cincinnati, that. Can we just put him in our lineup and not worry about it? Edelman, no. AJ Green gone for the year. That hurts. Amari Cooper is in a great spot this week. Philadelphia is just decimated at corner. They're playing with 4th and 5th stringers. Let's try to get this guy in the lineup. I can't in this build, but look at him. 9 targets, 8 targets, 5 targets, 10 targets, 8 targets. Since coming to the Cowboys, he's had 8+ targets in 4 to 5 games. I think it should be the same again this week. At Philadelphia last time, he went 6 for 75 on 10 targets. I think we get a little bit better game than that. What else do we got, guys? We got Galladay, T.Y. Hilton, Emmanuel Sanders, Tyler Boyd, Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, who I like, DJ Moore, who's fine, Calvin Ridley, who's fine, Chris Godwin, who's a beast. I love Chris Godwin, guys. I went Godwin over Humphries last week. We're switching up, though. We're going to go Humphries over Godwin. This is one of my favorite players in the league. I'd write him up literally every single week. He's in here again, I guarantee it. Adam Humphries. Like I said, I'm very upset that Draftkings caught on to me and priced Humphries at 4,900. Been riding this cheat code for a majority of the season. It's because he's been way too cheap for his involvement in this high-powered offense. led the team in targets last week, at least 50 yards in 6 straight games, touchdown in 3 straight. 15 every time that Jameis has been back since he came back, 15 plus in all those games. At 4,900, that's way too cheap. I don't know how much I had to switch up the lineup because I added Travis Kelce, so I don't want to plug him in yet, because if I can adjust, that's kind of a good spot to do it, because I do like some of these players down here, like Dante Pettis. I was huge high on him last week. I wish I played him. I didn't play him because I ended up going Godwin instead, which is fine. Godwin was fine, but I would have saved some value here. If I just didn't play Thielen, like I always save on receivers, I would have been much better off playing Pettis. Would have had a monster game. I would have had 225 points. I just looked at my lineup. I just added up the points. Instead of going instead of going Andrew Luck, Adam Thielen, Spencer Ware, if I went Patrick Mahomes, Dante Pettis, Philip Lindsay, who I wrote about all 3 of those guys, and I should have just played my own guys, I would have put up 225 points, would have came in 9th in the Million Maker for like 25K. But we're not going to be too upset about it. Love Dante Pettis. Some other players that we really, really like are not in this range. Chris Conley's fine at 3,800. Bruce Ellington at 3,800 though. He's going to be in my lineups as long as he's getting these targets. 9, 7, 10. Like, I understand that he's not going for any type of yardage, right? He's been kind of a check down receiver. He's kind of safety blanket of Matt Stafford. But I think Matt Stafford has a little bit better game this week against the Arizona Cardinals. I think Bruce Ellington stays involved. 3,800, I'm going to have to put him in the lineup. I'm very upset that we're 100 off of Humphreys and Godwin. There's nothing that I can see real quick to get there. If I go to flex, do I like anyone at 6,200? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not going to go from Philip Lindsay to Emmanuel Sanders. Is there anybody at 7,300 from Keenan Allen? No, I'm not going to go down to Edelman. Is there anyone at 3,700 from Ellington? Inman, Michael Gallup, Cole Beasley, and Marcel Aitman. I kind of like Michael Gallup and Humphreys. Listen, let me, just hear me out on Michael Gallup, right? Against Philly, I don't think he did anything last matchup against Philly. 2 for 34. Coming off one of his better games with 7 targets, 5 catches. He's super talented. I think Dak's been playing a lot better. This is like a super risky play, so I don't know if I love this for cash. And this is just a first look, so I'm just going to put him in there because I need to get Humphreys in there somehow. But I like that because it allows me to get Aaron Rodgers, Saquon, Keenan Allen, Philip Lindsay, and Travis Kelce with like some good fillers. I'll show you the other thing that, say we go like this. Say we go instead of paying all the way up at tight end, what if we pay all the way down at tight end and we go more in the Ian Thomas range at 2,700? And then we got 7K left. We can put anybody at flex that we want. Let's go Aaron Jones like we wanted to go. Boom. 6,800 receiver. We can go Cooper. So that's a little bit different. Basically, we got Amari Cooper, Ian Thomas, and Aaron Jones instead of Philip Lindsay, Travis Kelce, and Michael Gallup. I kind of like the other build a little bit better. If we go over to this build, it's probably my favorite build so far. It has Aaron Rodgers, Saquon, Aaron Jones, Keenan Allen, Adam Humphreys, Bruce Ellington, Eric Ebron, Justin Jackson, and Cardinals. You know, guys, it's just a first look. I'm going to keep tinkering with this. I had a lot of fun this week. People that use a lot of our lineups and on Twitter, I was kind of sweating lineups with some subscribers. It was super fun. I hope I can do that again with you guys this week. So let me know who you guys are playing. If you made it this far, please just like the video. Subscribe to the channel. You know what you got to do. Let me know what else you want to see for content. Moving forward, we're going to have a favorite values video. We're going to have a primetime video. Let me know in the comments below if you'd rather see Thursday Night Football or Monday Night Football. I usually do Thursday Night Football, and it's my best video of the week in terms of likes and views. But this week's game is pretty gross between the Jaguars and Titans, but that could mean a lot of you that still play it and you want the video even more because it's so gross. Or it's like, you know what, guys, it's not even that good of a game. I'm probably not even going to play it. So let me know in the comments below if you'd rather me do a Thursday video or a Monday video this week. Appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. Follow me on Twitter @HeinzZeke, and I'll see you guys next week.